Hello, class. My name is Josh Leach, and the title of my paper is The Cause and Effects of Religious Tolerance in the Ottoman Empire. Um, from the two lists of sources we had to choose from, for the full book, I chose Ottoman Brothers, Muslims, Christians, and Jews in Early 20th Century Palestine by Michelle Ursula Campos. And then for the excerpt from something we previously read in class, I chose Artillery of Heaven by Osama Madisi. So the focus of my paper is about something I found very interesting that we learned in this class and that I was unaware of before I took this class, and that is that in Muslim states that often Christians and Jews lived there side by side, their Muslim neighbors, in a pretty peaceful manner. Oftentimes, the Jewish and Christian people would have to pay a higher tax, and then not all of them had full rights. So the society favored Muslims, but they all lived together, and it's this idea of an Ottoman identity that Agar talks about. Agar traces it to 1444, when the Sultan Murat abdicated and his 12-year-old son was forced to take the throne. There's a quote in there that kind of talks about the development of this Ottoman identity, and he writes, this time, when the Europeans threatened, the powerful groups at the top of the Ottoman hierarchy did not fragment. Their interests had become fused with the centralized bureaucratic structure. And that quote is on page 84 and 85 in our Agar textbook. In the Ottoman Brothers, the book that I read, the author Campos talks about this kind of idea as a civic Ottomanism, is the term that she uses. She focuses, at least partially on the book, on the era after 1908, after the revolution in the Ottoman Empire. And interestingly, at that time, Muslims, Jews, and Christian men in the empire started claiming their right and their right to vote. And there's a primary source document in Ottoman Brothers that reflects this. Is really interesting to me as well. It is a table or a chart of Jerusalem voters in 1908. And it's got the total number of Ottoman males that lived in Jerusalem at the time. This is 1908. And the number of those that had the right to vote. So it's interesting because the population in Jerusalem in 1908, there were actually more Jews there than Muslims, even though it's part of the Ottoman Empire, and almost as many Christians. It's a little over 6,000 for Jews, 4,700 Muslims, 4,000 Christians. So it's 31% Muslims, but then if they look at out of the total number of men who had the right to vote, that skews way more towards Muslims, where it's 58.6 versus 28% for Jews and 15% for Christians. So the last column of the table shows the percentage of those groups that had the right to vote, and it's about half of all Muslim men had the right to vote that claimed Ottoman in Jerusalem in 1908, where about 15% of Christians and 70% of Jews. So I found that primary source very helpful, used it in my paper, and hope that you guys have an understanding of what I'm writing about.